Hello, everybody. Welcome to section 1.6 over simple interest. Okay, this will be good. This will be a good one. So let's kind of get through it. First, let's talk about this situation. A payday loan gives workers a cash advance on their paycheck. The borrower promises to repay the loan when he or she receives his or her next paycheck in exchange for the cash advance. The lender charges a high fee. That's just part of it. Logan finds himself in a position where he doesn't pay his phone bill. His phone will be shut off. It is 4 weeks until his next paycheck, and he doesn't have enough money to pay his bill. So he takes out a payday loan for $150, and the lender charges a simple interest rate of 400%. Jeez, how much interest is Logan charged when he repays it in 4 weeks? Let's hope you're not in this situation ever, because this is terrible. In this concept, you will learn to solve real world problems involving simple interest. So, you can use simple interest equation to calculate other unknowns beside the interest rate, like the amount of time it takes to earn a specific amount of interest. We'll look at an example here. So Ben deposited $1,200 in a certificate of deposit, an interest rate of 5.5%. He earned $198 in simple interest. How long was the CD for? Okay, so this problem's already worked out. So I want to talk us through. So pay attention to our equation. This is going to be the equation that we're going to be using for section 1.6. So basically it's telling us that I, interests, equals P, principal, which is going to be our starting amount, R, rate, and then T, time. So in this question that we have here, we have the principal, the $1,200. We have the interest rate, of course, which will have to be converted to percentage. And then we also have the actual interest itself. So the question is asking how long. So meaning, trying to not do squiggles. Okay, anyway. Oh, jeebers. Hold on, it's gonna lag again. But anyway, how long is T? So we're gonna try to figure out what T is. So we know the I, the P, the R, but we're looking for T. See, there you go. So how long means T. Okay. So again, this one's I wanted to have this one kind of already worked out so that we kind of use it as a demonstration. So you have $198, that is the I. You have the 1,200 for the P, you have the 5.5% as your R, but again, you're going to see them convert that. This is very important to its decimal form. So you're not really going to use this quite as much as this, right? And then you're going to solve for the T. So just using some regular math, we would go ahead and multiply these two together. So 1,200 times 0.55 gets you that 66. And then you would subtract or no, so not subtract, I'm sorry, because it's multiply. You would divide by 66 on both sides, leaving you with T equal to 3 at the end. So that would tell us that it was there for 3 years, that the CD was there for 3 years. All right, so let's do something similar, but like on our own now. So Troy deposited $400 into his savings account. How much interest will he receive at the end of 1 year if the interest rate is 3%? So remember our formula, I equals P R T. So Troy deposited 400. That's your P. That's your initial deposit, your initial amount. How much interest? So it's asking for I, right? I is what we're going to look for here. Will he receive at the end of 1 year? So that's your T. And his interest rate is 3%. That's your R. Okay. So we know interest itself. No, we don't know interest. That's what we're looking for. So I is what we're looking for. But we know principal is $400. We know rate was 3%, also known as 0.03. And then we also know time was 1 year. So this one's a little bit easier because all the numbers are on the right side. So we can just multiply them together and that'll equal our interest, accumulated interest. So we'll, of course, just grab our calculator and type this in. As soon as it loads. Okay. So, of course, 400 times 0.03 and times 1. 12. So $12 in interest. So interest is equal to 12. So $12. That's how much interest is collected. All right. Now, it's important to point out this as well. Go ahead and mention this. So because this was just 1 year, right? It's kind of a good example to say this on. But simple interest is going to be the same every single year. So like if this problem goes for 2 years, then the interest collected would be $24 because you'd get $12 the first year and $12 the second year. If it went for 3 years, you'd get another $12, meaning at 3 years you'd have $36. So it's the same amount of interest every single year. So for example, like I said, if you wanted to see what would happen after 3 years, right? Multiplied by 3, this will be 36 because it'll be $12 first, $12 a second, $12 a third, totaling 36. So that's how simple interest works. It's the same exact amount of money every year, as long as obviously nothing changes. The principal's not changed, the rate's not changed. So and that's how all these problems are going to be. So yeah, that's good to know that that's how much interest is every single year. Okay, it's going to be repeating. All right, so Courtney borrowed $7,500 for 4 years, an annual interest rate of 8%. How much interest will she pay on the loan? Okay, so again, let's write out our formula. I equals PRT. Let's think about what we have. Borrowed $7,500. This is our P. 4 years, that's going to be our T. Interest rate of 8%, that's our R. It says how much interest, so how much I. So it's looking for I. So let's put everything together. So I, we don't know. P is going to be 7,500. R is going to be 0.08. And then T is 4. So, well, of course, same problem as the last one, basically. We'll multiply these out. And we'll have an answer. 7,500 times 4 years times 0.08. I might have done that in the wrong order, but it doesn't matter. You can multiply these in any order. It's the same thing. So $2,400. So she will pay an additional $2,400 in interest at the end of her loan. There you go. All right. So a couple more to kind of do together here. We talked about the payday loan that no one, hopefully, should be taking. Hopefully you're not in that situation where you need one of these loans because it's excruciating. All right, so if a lender charges a simple interest rate of 400% on Logan's $150 loan, how much interest is Logan charged when he repays it in 4 weeks? So remember, he's borrowing $150, right? But in just 4 weeks, he's going to owe X amount of money. That's what we're going to try and find out. So 100, so again, let's follow the formula. I equals PRT. I is going to be what we're calculating. We're calculating how much interest, right? How much I. Our P is $150. Our rate. And then 4 weeks. Try to this is what I'm confused about because time is usually based on number of years. So let me go back and reread this problem. I think time is irrelevant here because I think it's 400%. Like, I don't think it's 400% per year or per week or anything like that. This is why I'm a little confused on this problem. I don't think maybe it's the most clearly determined problem in terms of length of time. So let me go back and read this. I think it just is I think it's a bad example. I think it doesn't really reference time too well. I think it's just 400% for that loan. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to take $150 and times it by that 400%, which is 4, because remember 400% in decimal form, we put it at 4.0. And I don't think we're going to include time on this. Kind of, again, this is not a typical problem, only because I think it's just 400% for that amount of loan. It's not 400% per year like all the other ones are. So I'm going to stick with this. I will let you guys know in class if it's wrong or not, but I think this is how it's wanting us to do it. 150 times 4, $600, right? So basically what this problem is saying is that uh, whoever's borrowing this money, Logan, he's gonna borrow $150 today, but in 4 weeks he'll have to pay back $600. So that's why these loans are not great, because obviously you get a 150, but you're paying back 600. So it's not something you want to have to do, right? You want to just be able to pay the 150, obviously save yourself all the money on interest here. So definitely got to be careful about that. All right, so let's go back to more of our traditional examples, I think. Joanna borrowed 500 at an interest rate of 8%. At the end of the loan period, she had to pay back 530. How long was the loan period? So again, pay attention to what this is asking for. Oops, I put the P in the wrong spot there. So I equals PRT. So we have, she borrowed 500. That's the principal. Interest rate of 8%. That's our rate. She had to pay back 530. That's her interest. Well, we're going to talk about that in a second. How long was the loan for? Of course, this is asking about T. All right. Give me a second real quick. I do want to check something because I'm curious about these questions a little bit. All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Just wanted to make sure I clarify this question right. I also got a little bit of clarity on the example from before, which I was thinking about, but again, and now we know what we have to assume. So let me go over this question first. So you have to read this question very carefully. It says she paid back 530. Now, keep in mind that she borrowed 500 to begin with, so of course she's going to pay back the 500 if there was no interest at all, right? She would still be paying back 500 on no interest at all, 0% interest. But she's paying back 530, which tells me that she's paying back $30 in just interest, if that makes sense, right? She borrowed 500, so she's got to pay this back regardless. So she has to pay back 500. But she ended up paying back 530, which tells me that $30 is the interest portion of what she's paying back. Because that's how interest works. You pay money to borrow money, essentially. So the interest here is actually 30 bucks. The principal is 500. The rate is 8%. And the T is what we're trying to figure out. So grab our calculator here. We're going to do 500 times 0.08. So that's 40 bucks. So we have 30 equals 40 T. So then we'll divide by 40. And we're going to get 0.75 equal to T. So 3/4 of a year, or you can put it as months. This is 9 months. So either way, you can say it those two ways. All right, let's go back real quick to this question where I did get a little bit of clarity because you remember I was complaining because it doesn't tell us how long the interest is for. And this is what I want to clarify. So it's going to always be based on a year, apparently. So I think the question should have clarified that if I'm being honest, but I didn't make the questions. I just kind of borrowed them. But if I wrote this question, I would have clarified the fact that the interest is for a full year, not for 4 weeks, not for per week or anything. So that's going to change some things up a little bit because we are going to work this out with time. We are going to put a T value here. So here's how we're going to do it. So because it's based on a year, but we're only doing 4 weeks, we're not doing a full year, right? We're only doing a very small portion of the year. We're doing, if you know this, there are 52 weeks in a year. So we're doing 4 out of 52 weeks. So 4/52 of a year. So that's the number that we're going to want to use for T, 4/52, 4 out of 52. 4 weeks out of the 52 that are in a year. So moral of the story, when you're thinking about time here, keep in mind that your time has to be relevant to a year. So 4 weeks is not 4 years. 4 weeks is 4/52 of a year, right? Because there's You know what I'm saying? 52 weeks in a year, but you're only doing 4 of them. So it's a very small portion of the year. So that's the number that we need to do here. So let's go rework that problem real quick. Times 4 times 4 over 52. And so this is $46.15. So this is the interest that's accumulated, which is the question that was asked, how much interest is Logan charged? So it's not as bad as we thought. And I think that's because he's paying it off in 4 weeks rather than a whole year later. If he paid it off a whole year later, you saw what happened. He'd be paying $600. But again, clarity on this question is key. So this is why I always ask you guys when you're doing skill checks and stuff, ask me for clarity, ask me for help, because I will bring that to you. I will figure that out. Okay. All right. So let's do a couple more. All right. John earned $96 on $1,200 deposited at 2% interest. How long did he invest? So again, this one is a time question. So he earned $96, so that's going to be our I. He deposited 1,200, that's P, 2% rate, and the question is T. How long, how much time? So $96 is going to equal $1,200 times 0.02 times T. So again, there's really just 2 steps when we do it this way, if you haven't figured that out yet. We're going to multiply these 2 numbers, 1,200 times 0.02. And it was the same when we did a similar question this last time. So that's 24. So 96 equals 24 times T. And then the second step is divide by this number because it's being multiplied to T, so you're going to divide. So you multiply these, and then you divide on both sides by that amount. So 96 divided by 24, I'm pretty sure that's 4, but we'll type it in here anyway. Yep, 4. So 4 equals T. So how long do you invest? 4 years. So remember, your answer here is always going to be based on years. Okay. Every answer is going to be based on a year or years. Okay, that's going to be its unit. So just keep that in mind. All right, Karen paid $48 on $600 at a 4% interest rate. How long does she have the loan for? It's very similar to the last question. So I equals PRT. I is $48. P is $600. Rate is 4%. And T is what we're trying to find. How long, right? So we'll multiply the 600 times 0.04 again. 600 times 0.04. 24 again. So 48 equals 24 times T. And then the next step. So we multiply, now we'll divide. We'll divide by 24. So we end up with 2 equal to T, which means 2 years. Remember, again, T is always based in years. All right. And then one more. Eric earned $130 on a $2,000 deposit at 1% interest. How long did he invest? Okay. So again, pretty much the same problem as the other last 2 or 3 problems. So we'll multiply the 2,000 times the 1%, 0.01, which is 20. So we have 130 equal to 20 T. Divide both sides by 20. I think this is going to be 6.5, but let's check it. 6.5. So 6.5 equals T. So 6.5 years for our solution there. All right. So we'll wrap it up at that one. Yeah. So I don't think the skill check's gonna throw you guys through any loops. I think the skill check is pretty clear on what it's asking for, but I could be wrong. So if you have questions about it, let me know. But I don't think you're gonna have to worry about something like this, or especially like this one. So it was nice to see this one because it's a nice challenge to kind of look over. But yeah, I think you shouldn't have anything as, I guess, unclear as this question. But there you go. I'll see you guys in 1.7. Good luck on the skill check. Bye.